Community is very important when you're trying to learn a new technology, because the issues, the problems that you're facing, someone else has also faced them or is facing right now. So if you reach out to people on Twitter, on Reddit, on other various forums, you will get answers, help.
Welcome to AWS Community Day 2025 here in Brisbane for Australia. My name's Alan Blockley. I am your MC and I am an AWS community builder. Bit of housekeeping. I've forgotten what the housekeeping is, but if you know where the bathrooms are, straight over there. Volunteers are all wearing black t-shirts. They're the t-shirts that matter today. Black t-shirts, say AWS Community Day 2025 on the front. And if you've got any questions whatsoever or need any directions to anything, please reach out to the volunteers. They're here to help you today and make your day comfortable. Also, there's the attendee app. So if you haven't found it already, we've got an attendee app. Just ask any of the volunteers for that link or QR code. I knew there was a QR code I needed. I'd like to begin today by acknowledging the Yugara people, traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present. I extend that respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. 2,177. Who knows what that number means? Days since last event, 2177, 2,177. That's a big number. No community days in Australia since pre-COVID. That's a long time. It's hard to get an event like this started again, and it takes some courage and commitment from an absolutely awesome team to sign up and take it from a 6-year-old memory to something that's current and relevant. So congratulations to everyone here today, sponsors, volunteers, and attendees. Thank you. So here's what the first community day in 6 years brings you. One day together. 2 workshops. Managed to shoehorn 2 in there. I think it's the second live game day here in Brisbane as well, ever. 3 tracks. We have the Builders main stage, the Edge Zone, and then we have the Game Day Arena. Over 20 unique sessions from over 20 unique, awesome, talented speakers. Hundreds of connections to be made, an infinite number of ideas to take home. Sounds like good value for the day, doesn't it? Let's make history again. Let's start Community Day Australia as a new event. Before we get kicked off, though, I want to just talk about our community. What is community? So to highlight this, there's 3 people on the stage, on the screen right now. What do they all have in common? They're all awesome. Yep. They're all follically challenged? Yeah, okay. I'm sure. I'm loving this feedback. This is great. Jason's out the back here giggling his head off. Some of you in the know will know already, these 3 people are all called Mike of some variety. Michael Kingston, Mike Chambers, and Michael Walmsley. However, that's not actually what I'm talking about. That's not the thing in common between these 3 people. They're all members of our community. One of them is Mike. He's an AWS developer advocate that works for AWS. He has a thirst for learning. He writes content and shares what he learns, gets up on stage and gives back to the community. Another one is Michael, an AWS hero, but he doesn't work for AWS. He also has a thirst for learning, writes content, and gives back to the community. And then there's the third Mike. He's not a hero or a builder. He's just someone who wants to contribute. He doesn't work for AWS, but he still shares knowledge, presents, and gives back to the community. Here's the point. They all make our community what it is. No one is above the other. Each one contributes equally, regardless of job title, employer, or anything else. And it's not just limited to mics. Here's someone who doesn't even work with AWS. She's not technical. She doesn't use it at all. She doesn't write blog posts. In fact, she doesn't even get up and present. But she's passionate about what she does, and she wants to give back to the community. The only thing that you really need to be part of the community is the want to give back. This is Lynelle Curtis. She's the general manager of our event today. She's the treasurer of the Queensland AWS Community Association. A volunteer, just like many of us in this room today. We don't have to be technical or hands-on to contribute. Our community is made up from diverse backgrounds, cultures, and skill sets. And that's what brings AWS Community Day Australia back to life here today in Brisbane. This is our community right here. Well, a sample of it. Some pictures I could throw together at last minute. It's built by people, not job titles. Diverse backgrounds, cultures, and skill sets. All here for the same reason today. To give back and be part of something bigger. But here's the truth. Events like today don't just happen. They happen because a community comes together and because organizations step forward to support that community as well. So before we get started today, I want to throw a quick thank you out there to our incredible sponsors that have made it possible for us to be here today. From our platinum partner, AWS, a naming sponsor, through to our gold sponsors, Commvault, Datadog, Auth0, Idea 11, Mantel Group. Silver sponsors, Thoughtworks and Qumulo, and bronze sponsors, Buildkite and Konfhub. Our sponsors are here today, presenting in some cases, showing off their awesome swag this week as well. If you want to talk to our sponsors about how they get involved in the community, that's what they're here for today. And then there's our organising committee as well. I want to take a moment to recognise the people that have made today possible. Our organising committee, countless hours of planning, late night meetings, and all the hard work in physically getting this set up. These people have full-time jobs. They have families, and some very new families as well. And some have even strived to put this event together through sickness and other troubles and strives. More so, a special thanks to our on-the-day volunteers, everyone wearing one of those black Community Day t-shirts that says volunteer on the back. Without them, we couldn't have people here to ensure that your day is comfortable and enjoyable. So a massive applause to the committee and to the volunteers. They do this for our community. No other reason. They want to give back. If you see them throughout the day, please stop. Give them a handshake, a smile. Say thank you. This is your day, but they're the reason that it's happening. AWS Day isn't just about sessions and slides. It's about the people. People who share, who connect, who inspire. People who build each other up. So here's my challenge for you today. Make a new connection. Ask a question. Share your story, because every conversation today makes our community stronger. And remember, we are the community. Speaking of people that inspire, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome our opening keynote speaker. He's flown in all the way from the States just for this event, just for us, Mr. Jason Dunn.
right, hello everyone. This kind of feels like a memorial video, like I just died. You know, he was meant to keynote, he went down over the ocean, we will miss him. Anyway, I'm just a corporate cog in the machine, they replaced me in a heartbeat. But let's talk about community. So, why developer communities matter. I really enjoyed Alan's intro. It sets up this talk, I think, really nicely to get a little more into why developer communities matter to AWS, why they matter to developers like you. I want to talk about Australian wildlife. When I first came here, I thought, okay, there's all these interesting animals in Australia. Half of them will try to kill me, but I really want to, see some interesting things. This is not from Australia. This is from Singapore. And when I go to places, I like to take really nice pictures of animals. And so I was really excited when I saw this exotic creature on the street, and it got a big beak, and I took a picture. I was a little less enthused when I found out it's referred to as the bin chicken. It took away a little bit of the mystique, but then I was reminded that it's the logo for the user group, and I was like, oh, this is magical and mystical, and I'm meant to be here. I saw the totem spirit, I guess, of the Brisbane user group, as it were. So I'm very happy to be with you here today. A quick introduction about me. People will tell you who they are, but I need to tell you who I am not. I'm not a developer. There's that saying, the person can't blank their way out of a blank. I can't lambda my way out of an unsecured S3 bucket. And if you might say, that doesn't make any sense, exactly. That's exactly. I should not talk about anything technical. But what I can talk about is community. I've spent a lot of years working in community. So let's make sure you get your $20 from this. Although actually, it's more like 20 divided by 30, right? If we take all the sessions, and so, you only need to get like $1.50 value out of my talk. So, I've been creating and running communities for many decades. So my very first community that I moderated was back in like the dial-up bulletin board system days. So some of you are like, oh, that's so long ago. Yes, it was. I did, however, want to spare you the agony of putting in an audio, like the screeching modem sound, because that would have been a little bit too much. I was a Microsoft MVP for about 15 years, so I've been kind of on the other side of, community programs, and I've seen what it's like to be a member of types of communities. I spent a few years doing tech websites and running, pretty sizable communities as well. I went to work for HTC, the smartphone maker, although now they make more VR headsets than anything else. Went to work for AT&T to run a small business community. And then I landed at AWS back in March of 2020, and I created the AWS Community Builders program. And so that's a little bit about me. But first, a quick disclaimer. So this is my first ever keynote. Right? And this is, in fact, the very first time this talk has been given. I had to create it from scratch. So this talk is still in preview. It's not in GA. And pricing will be announced at a later date. All right? So what does that make me effectively? The junior developer who's decided to test in prod, as well as making a DNS record change, because I flew all the way from the US to be here. So let's see how this goes. Hopefully it goes well. Today we're going to talk about basically three things. Why people join developer communities, why AWS invests in these communities, and where and how you can engage with AWS communities. So a lot of you already here, you're already part of the AWS community, but my goal here would be to give you a little bit more detail about what some of the ways are you can engage with AWS communities, and even give you a little bit of background on why AWS spends time and money and effort in developer communities. So why do people join developer communities? There's lots of reasons. Alan gave you some of them already. But I don't want to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is something that people do. They throw up the pyramid and they talk about self-actualization. And I think it's actually better to hear from community members. So I did a survey of our existing communities, and I asked them just in one word, what does community mean to you? And I wanted to just figure out, what do people in the community think about the community? So I did the classic 10-year ago thing of making a word cloud. And you can see some of the bigger ones that pop up here. And I kind of pulled the top 5 ones. And so empowering was the very first one, and it was the biggest one. So the biggest thing that people get from being in a community is just feeling empowered and feeling like when they join a community, they can actually do more, they can do new things, they can try new things, and they feel empowered to learn and grow. People also find communities very inspiring, which isn't surprising. If you see someone else doing something, you think, oh, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can give that a try. They put in awesome, I guess just because they like putting an AWS in the awesome part. The word journey came up, which I think is really interesting, right? Because when you're in a community, you're not static. If you participate, you're going to be pushed onward by other people, you're going to learn and you're going to grow, and it's going to be part of an overall journey. Fun is a big one, right? Being in community with other people, going to events, eating, drinking, having fun with people is just part of the joy. So there was a bigger picture, and I basically asked the question, how has it helped you in your career or life? And there was kind of 5 basic things that people said. They talked about networking and community connections, right? So connecting with each other and building their network. Career and growth opportunities was another really big one. I have a quote in a second that kind of brings that home, but people really find great opportunities in being in community. We all know a lot of jobs now are not about what your resume says, it's about the people you know and the connections you make, and community is a great way to make that happen. Technical skills and knowledge, this isn't surprising, right? But when you are part of a community, you're going to essentially, iron sharpens iron, right? If you're with really smart people and they're going to teach you things. Personal development is a big part, and I'll talk a little bit about that, about how we encourage that in our AWS communities. And then obviously knowledge sharing and giving back. I mean, a day like this AWS Community Day wouldn't happen without all these amazing volunteers giving back to the community and helping give people an opportunity to be here. So I'll just read this quote. The AWS Community Builders Program has been shockingly valuable to my career. I met my current employer through this CB program, which turned into the best job I ever had. So this is a member of our AWS Community Builders Program. He's been in since 2022, and I thought it really just encapsulated how joining this program gave him something that he didn't actually anticipate, but it was of great benefit to him. So the last thing I want to say is that we live in very interesting times, right, to be a developer and a builder. There's so many tools that are accelerating and dramatically changing how things get built, and if you're on an interesting journey, it's great to have people that you can be with, right? So people you can talk to, bounce ideas off of, ask questions. So that's another thing that is great about community. Community is also fun, right? Being with people in a room, sharing moments, being inspired. This is one of our AWS heroes at an event. So why does AWS invest in developer communities? So we know the communities are awesome and they're fun and they give you lots of benefits, but why does AWS spend time and money, and why did I fly down here to do this, right, to support this event? There's a few things. What this really boils down to is that technical builders trust other technical builders. There's a lot of other explanations for why we do it, but for me, this is one of the most important things, and that is AWS can have the best web page in the world and the best marketing and can talk about why a service is going to change your life and make everything better. But the truth is, it's all marketing, right? If you're a technical builder and you hear another technical builder say, I solved problem X with service Y, you're going to put a lot of credence in that. You're going to put a lot of value in it. And that's ultimately why we try to grow our communities and empower people, because technical builders, we want them to be authentic and share what they learn using AWS with other technical builders. So what AWS focuses on are a couple of key things. We want to provide opportunity, so that simply means having the community programs that we have and giving as much opportunity to as many people as we can. We want to support growth, so any way we can support growth within those communities. We want to remove barriers, right? So some of our programs are open for anyone to join, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Education and training is also a really important part. So many of our programs that we offer certification and ways to get trained and continue your growth and journey. We want to inspire and encourage, which is obviously a big one. And sometimes we just need to get out of the way, which is one of the things I love about community days, because they're by the community for the community. If we can support it, that's what we want to do. But by and large, we don't want to get in the way of communities. And we have the same philosophy when it comes to user groups. We really want user groups to be by the community and for the community, and we don't want to control them in any way. So one of the things we do at AWS Summits, we almost always have a developer community lounge where folks will get together. Builders will get an opportunity to speak at the lounge. We typically have between 6 and 12 speaking opportunities, so they can give lightning talks at these events, which is a great way if you're someone who wants to get into public speaking. It's a great way to present in front of a medium-sized audience and get your learning in. This is at the Mexico Summit. So one of our executives was up there talking about the Mexico community. So it's a really big deal for us to talk about and encourage our community. And then we have folks like Werner Vogels, who's Amazon's CTO, and he's a huge supporter of the Heroes program. And every year at reInvent, he gets up on stage and he gives out an award to an AWS hero for doing great things in the community. So that's just a few of the ways that we try to support. Now, how can you get involved in an AWS community? So a lot of you here might be interested in a few of the things that we can do. One of them is AWS Builder Center. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot my audience. Dark mode, that's a little bit better, right? Yeah. So Builder Center is a brand new website. It's launched about 4 or 5 months ago. It replaced community.aws, and it's a place where you can do a few things. You can read technical content created by other builders. You can publish your own content. So if you're looking for a place to publish your content, you can do it here. It supports a fancy word called canonical linking. And all that just means is that if you have your own blog post on Medium or your own personal blog, you can make a copy over here and you can tell Google that your blog is the original one. This is a permissioned copy. And that way you can actually reach more people. So if you have something you want to share, publish it on Builder Center. Comment, like, engage with others. So again, the site's brand new, but they're just starting to build up, the community there. A really cool feature they have is a wish list item. So if you have a wish list or a request for a service, you wish Lambda did X, or you wish, something else was supported, you can submit them there and upvote items. We have lots more coming soon. One of the big goals of Builder Center is to try to connect builders all around the world and connect content and things that people create with audience and opportunity, and so eventually you'll see things like user group meetups and other events being live on Builder Center. So it's at builder.aws.com. You can do the QR code if you want, but it's pretty easy to find if you just look for it. We have the AWS Heroes program, which many of you are familiar with. This is a recognition program, so it's not something you can apply for. We have 264 heroes globally, and we add more every quarter. These are deeply technical builders. They speak at conferences, they write books, and they just generally do big things in the community. There are 16 heroes from Australia and 1 from New Zealand. And as you saw in the preamble, we actually have 2 brand new heroes. So we have Nadia and we have Rowan. Amazing. Unfortunately, neither of them are here today, but I did want to acknowledge because they just became heroes yesterday. So this is like hot off the press. And Alan even edited the video this morning to include them, so kudos down for that. We also have user groups. User groups are the best way for someone to get involved in the community because it's an open door. Anyone can show up at an event and just join and participate. We also encourage people to create new user groups. So if you happen to live in a geographic area where there isn't a local user group and you have to drive for 2 hours to get to a user group, we very much would love to see a new user group spring up. We want user groups to be accessible to anyone to join. Globally, we have 1,200 user group leaders, 600 groups, and a little bit over 1 million people that are part of user groups. So it is by far our biggest overall community and one of our critical ways to reach people. And then obviously user groups organize community days, which are fantastic. The User Group Leaders program is a program specifically for user group leaders, and the goal of that program is to help people in that position grow and learn. If you are a student or you know a student, so this is someone in post-secondary university or college, so this is Cloud Clubs is our university college-led, student-led groups. There are 214 captains in 50 countries, so this is a newer program. It's about 2.5 years old now, so it's still getting started, but we have over 80,000 Cloud Club total members. Captains can apply. So a Cloud Club captain is a student at the post-secondary education, and they can apply. There's a new cycle coming up September 1st, and so if you're a student or know a student who's technically minded and interested in cloud computing, I'd encourage you to let them know about this. Students obviously can attend the events. Cloud Clubs also do student community days, which are really exciting. I don't think there's any in this region. Part of that reason is because there's one at the University of Melbourne, one in Auckland, but we would love more. So wherever you are from across this country, if you see there's an opportunity to create a Cloud Club, a student, I'd encourage you to learn more about this. The Community Builders program is the program that I run. And because I'm holding a microphone, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this one. And nobody can stop me. So it's for technical builders that create content that help other builders learn about AWS services. So this could be blog posts, videos, speaking at an event, anything like that. We have over 2,600 people from 100 plus countries. It's the only program that you can really apply for, right? So the other ones are a little bit limited, like you either have to be a student or you have to live in an area that, there isn't a user group to become a user group leader, but this one's open to anyone who creates technical content. It's application-based, so you create content and then you apply. The next application cycle is open in January. And really the only criteria is just 2 technical items, right? Again, blog post, video, presentation that helps other builders learn about AWS. That's essentially the requirement, and that content needs to be published within the preceding 12 months. And that's essentially it. Now, why would you want to join this program, right? Why would you want to create content and apply? Well, there are some benefits. So the biggest one is actually a private Slack workspace where you can engage with other builders. We talked about community and the importance of community. Not surprisingly, when we asked our community builders what was the one thing that they appreciated the most, the thing at the top of the list was engaging with other builders. So it wasn't the swag, it wasn't any of the benefits, it was just connecting with other people for all the reasons I mentioned previously. You also get $500 in AWS credits. This is intended for you to test, learn, explore, spin up services and figure things out. If certification is important to you, I see a couple gold jackets out there. Salute to you people that got all your certifications. You get 1 free certification voucher. There's a 1-year subscription to QA, formerly known as Cloud Academy. So it's a great way to learn and do labs and do things like that. If you want to travel to reInvent, which is very far away from here, but definitely worth going, you can save $1,200 on your ticket. We also do, as I mentioned, speaking opportunities, so speaking at summits, also at reInvent and other types of opportunities. There's also some sweet swag. And there's an option to renew each year. So if you enjoy being in the program, you think, hey, I get a lot out of this, I want to come back again, you can renew, and then every year all of the benefits renew. So this QR code is a little more important than the other one. This is a QR code for the waiting list. So if you are interested in this program, you hit the QR code, it'll just add your name to a waiting list. It isn't the application, it's just a list that you add your email, and then I will send you an email in January when applications open. So there's that. This QR code is for all of our communities, so if you're interested in learning more about any of the communities I mentioned, you can hit that up, but it's also easy to find on Builder Center. So, the takeaways, the things I would love for you to remember. Join a local user group. This is the most important one because it is the most accessible, assuming there's a user group somewhat nearby. Start a user group if there isn't one in your area. Again, we love to see new user groups and we support their creation. Reach out to students you know. Cloud Clubs is a great way to get early developers on board and just get them learning about AWS. There's some great opportunities and great technical training and things that they also get, so it's really worth the investment. And then apply to be a community builder in January. So if this is something you find interesting and you're creating content that's telling folks about AWS, I would very much encourage you to apply. And feedback is a gift. So because this is the first time I've done this particular talk, in the app, which is somewhere, right, the QR code, I would love for you to let me know how I could make this talk better, make it more interesting to you. I would very much value that feedback. And I would like to say thank you. That is the end of my talk. Now, we do have a bit of time for, do you want to do Q&A or do you want to end early?
Yeah, we can do Q&A.
Okay. If anyone in the audience has any questions, I think there's some floater mics. There's one mic back there, one mic back there. So if you have any questions, just raise your hand and they'll get a mic for you. On the other hand, you might think to yourself, this is all pretty obvious, and I have no questions, and my feelings will not be hurt if there are no questions. We will have a panel a little bit later, actually after the break, right? Yeah, we'll have a panel after the break. All right, no questions, so I will hand it back over to Alan. Thanks, everyone.
You've got to love a little bit of dramatic music at the end of the day, haven't you? Mr. Walmsley wants that as part of his walkout as well, so I'll see what I can do. No promises. But your day begins now. So at the end of the day, today, I want you to go out there and I want you to enjoy the sessions, interact with each other, make great connections, and just have a good day. If there's anything that we can do for you, please reach out to a volunteer. We'll be here to help. Otherwise, enjoy your day, and thank you very much for being here at AWS Community Day.